Shut up and sit down.
Howdy and salutations, welcome to Broken Table Commentary, three-man creative debate podcast all about the greatest of fake sports, professional wrestling. Every week we each bring a different topic to the table. The topics can be ridiculous or serious, opinion or factual, creative or not, whatever we feel like. And as always, the topics for this week are in the description. On commentary we have our Mark, the debonair diabetic dad, Lenton.
Hello everybody.
Our historian, the Scottish Grumpelstiltskin, Michael.
Hello, I'm Michael, not grumpy, and if you buy my book by the Dying Tree from Amazon, I'll be even less grumpy. Cheap plug!
And our critic, me, Jessel. You can follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Facebook as Broken Table Commentary, or directly at BrokenTableCommentary.com. New episodes are broadcast every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is episode number 12, Wine Table. And, you'll figure it out. But first things first, before we get too far, I want to start a brand new segment.
Uh-oh.
That segment is called, Who Got Enzo? The ongoing storyline on Raw right now is that Enzo Amore has been knocked out backstage twice. And then this last week, Big Cass is the one who got knocked out. It's the best mystery that Raw's had in years. And if it keeps going, this could be like actual conspiratorial soap opera nonsense, which is what I love. So I want us to check in every week until they determine who actually did it on what our running theory is on Who Got Enzo?
Who got Enzo?
So right now, I'll go ahead and let you know that this week, Big Cass got knocked out, so Enzo had to find a new tag partner, and it was Big Show. Well, I would love it right now if it was Big Show doing a single white female thing. You ever see that movie?
No.
Where the girl comes in and she starts looking more and more like the other girl, and she starts taking over her life, and it starts being this crazy stalker thing. Yeah, what if Big Show starts doing that to Big Cass?
You know, I love the Big Show, and I would love it if the Big Show got a somewhat main event feud to do in his last year.
At least
so that'd be
feud,
great.
Yeah. So that's Big Show. With Big Show being added, we now have 4 suspects because they've thrown Shane on Big Cass with him shaking Corey Graves' hand. They've thrown Shane on Enzo with Big Cass holding the gold necklace, and Enzo going, "What, you think I had something to do with this?" They throw shade on Big Show, and they throw shade on the Revival. So we got a lot of interested parties. So this week, I think that Big Show is who got Enzo.
Say there's some shade on actual Corey Graves as well.
Oh. So do you think Corey Graves got Enzo?
No, I don't think so, but I would say that he can't be ruled out completely. He's been a part of the storyline from the very beginning. From talking bad about Enzo to being confronted by Cass. I mean, he's been instrumental. So I don't know what the payoff would be in having Corey do it, since he can't really do anything, but can't put it past him. Could be Corey.
Well, who do you say who got Enzo this week? Who's your front runner for the theory?
I still think it was Big Cass, and I think that Enzo found out about it, and now he is getting his revenge on Big Cass, is what I think is going on.
I got you. Michael, hashtag Who Got Enzo?
Who got Enzo?
Well, I can't remember. Did you go back into wrestling, Jessel, when they did the whole Kane The Undertaker feud in 2010?
No. Oh, no, I was around, but I don't remember it.
Yeah. Well, it led into a really awful Kane Edge feud, so you're just...
okay. Yes, I remember the terrible Kane Edge feud.
But the start off was that somebody laid out Undertaker backstage, and Kane, being his brother and closest friend, started trying to find out who done it. And all the evidence seemed to mysteriously incriminate Rey Mysterio. Only it turned out it was Kane all along. Now, Undertaker is Enzo Amore. Rey Mysterio...
No, that's enough. That's all you have to say. Undertaker is Enzo Amore.
And of course, Kane is Big Cass. It's the exact same storyline, in my view.
Very interesting. All right, well, that was this week's Who Got Enzo, but why don't you guys all listening in, hashtag Who Got Enzo, and let's see what you think. And next week, we'll continue talking about this mystery, unless they solve it next week, and then me doing this as a segment is entirely worthless and really funny. Either way, hashtag Who Got Enzo. Any other news that you guys want to talk about?
Well, we could mention what a man Rich Swann is. I mean, he defeated a trope which overpowers everyone from Undertaker to AJ Styles.
It's true. He won in his hometown.
Also, did you hear that body pop?
Yeah.
Even I was like, what the hell? He was over in his hometown. It might have been one of the best things on Extreme Rules, which wasn't one of the best pay-per-views they've had in a while.
That sounds like a segue. Let's talk about some Extreme Rules.
Well, the main event was all right. Right person went over. They're selling his Brock match well, but he's going to get killed.
And they're doing what I expected, as building Brock Lesnar up as the babyface heading into the match.
It's true. I am excited for Brock to be the babyface. I think that's a good idea. Honestly, I found Extreme Rules to be pretty middling at best. Even the best match on the show. Well, the two matches I would call the best, Dean Miz and Neville Austin, both of them never kicked it into gear for me. They were both fine. Everything's fine. It was just a fine pay-per-view.
It feels like beyond maybe a few kind of weird finishes. I mean, the tag title match felt like the ending was maybe mistimed or something, and the IC title went really long for such a stupid finish.
And the submissions match having countouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird officiating, some weird rejiggering of the rules. None of them illogical, mind you. Just all of them not what we are programmed to think as wrestling fans.
Yeah, I feel like give it 10 weeks and we will struggle to name half the card. It's just one of those forgettable shows.
I mean, we'll always have that kendo stick on a pole match where Bayley is the biggest idiot.
Oh, Christ. I mean, I know people say, with justification, say that she has not been that good on the main roster, but man, that booking didn't help her at all.
I mean, some of it, the problem is, the problem with a lot of these NXT call-ups, and it's been a problem with NXT call-ups for forever, is that if the WWE is the only place you ever trained, you never really learn how to improvise. So when something goes a little bit off kilter, you stick to the script, which is what the WWE wants, but then it leads to things that are really dumb, like the kendo stick being 3 inches from her hand and her being too afraid to grab a stick.
And it's complete flanderization too, because it's not only a year or two ago that she was basically, beating the living tar out of Sasha Banks in NXT title matches.
At least they kept that match short. Going back and watching it, since the match had no good bright spots, at least it was a short match. And it just, it put over Alexa, ended that feud seemingly, so we can move on to Nia Jax. And at least it was a quick one.
Yeah.
So thankfully, at least we can take that from it. My big thing that came out of Extreme Rules and the night following is that a wrestler has finally entered my list of someone that I don't care about whatsoever. And this is a wrestler that I have defended on this podcast and a wrestler I have liked since they've shown up. But when it comes to wrestlers and me, and I think this is for most people, the 3 criteria are gimmick, moveset, and storylines. And this wrestler always at least had one of those things really well that interest me. But at this point, Bray Wyatt absolutely does nothing for me.
Yeah.
I am officially bored when he is on my TV and sad when I see him do things. To start Raw with him losing clean to Roman Reigns again and have him be the reason Seth Rollins loses the main event. I can't stand that happened. I don't care at all that Bray Wyatt did that. I don't care about Bray Wyatt anymore. And this literally went from, I thought Bray Wyatt was going to win in Extreme Rules. I was excited about Bray Wyatt to by the end of Raw, I don't care about Bray Wyatt anymore. I don't want Bray Wyatt on TV. You can fire Bray Wyatt. I know it's not all his fault, but if Bray Wyatt gets fired, I'm not going to be sad. And that makes me sad, though, because I used to like him so much, and I defended him so much during the terrible Randy Orton stuff. But at this point, just none of the three things I need from a wrestler he has for me. So I am sad to report that Bray Wyatt is gone for me.
Well, if it helps you, Lenny, I have the opposite have happened. Someone I don't care about, I finally think I like, and that is Titus O'Neil.
Hey, baby.
I don't know. I didn't watch Raw live. I watched it on YouTube, but there was a YouTube clip of Apollo Crews hanging out with Akira Tozawa, and you see Titus O'Neil walk by in the background, get really jealous, and crawl through a whole bunch of garbage to get to them. And like, hey, what are you talking about? It's like, Titus, you all right? No, I'm fine. He's breathing heavy. Well, I'm fine. Hey, what's up, Tawaza? How you doing, Tawaza? And it killed me that he calls Akira Tozawa Tawaza. And I love it so much, and I want to see Akira Tozawa feud with Titus O'Neil. So you might have lost a love.
Well, you were a pretty big fan of Primetime Players, weren't you?
Oh, I loved the Primetime Players.
Yeah, so you liked him for that, and then during his last single run, you didn't like him. So I'm glad that he's fallen back into your favor.
I'm happy to be enjoying him.
Well, I can close this circle for you because I went into this pay-per-view not caring about The Miz, and I still don't care about The Miz.
All right, so I've got a question. And I know this applies to Jessel. I think this applies to Michael just from conversations throughout our Facebook group. Considering how often the smart money betting odds are correct, which is a ridiculous amount of the time, because I will read them after the pay-per-view. I'm wondering, from the perspective of people who read them before the pay-per-view, why do you read the smart money betting odds before a pay-per-view? Just as curiosity. I'm not saying it's bad. It's bad that you do it.
For me, it's easy. I've never been somebody to care about spoilers. I've never been somebody to care about knowing the end of something before it happens. Because for me, it's not entertaining just because of the ending. It's entertaining how they get to the ending. So knowing the smart money is just like, oh, that's interesting. It's just an interesting fact that doesn't actually factor into the wrestling for me.
But though I just kind of stumble across them by accident in general, though it always reminds me of one of my favourite wrestling anecdotes from WrestleMania 9, when the owner of Caesar Palace went up to Basil DeVito, one of Vince's top men, and it was like, I just managed to bet like $500 on Bret Hart beating Yokozuna in the main event, and he walked off with a smile while DeVito was like, So it depends on the individual pay-per-view, really.
I gotcha. Those are good answers. And I'm certainly not implying that it is bad to want to know it. I'm just not like that, so I was wondering what is the other perspective. So I just thought it was a good question to throw out there.
Well, here we go. Drum roll. Michael, you and me have to make the drum roll.
All right. Just so the people at home know, I am on video for my my co-hosts, so they know that I'm not cheating. I'm not just lying. My kid is also yelling. Everybody can hear that. Scotland, stop yelling. So, all right. Leave that in. That's fine. This is not a super important thing. All right. Somebody is going to win $30 gift card. I'm not looking in the bucket. All right. I got it in my hand. It is going to be, let's peel it open. It's Melanie. Melanie wins.
Hooray! Well, good job, Melanie. I am happy that you won. Thank you for commenting on the SoundCloud and for wishing Michael good well wishes.
So once you hear this, Melanie, send an email letting us know your email, because the gift card will be emailed to you. And then you just put in the code on the website once you get to the checkout, and it will cover your expenses.
There you go. BrokenTableCommentary@gmail.com.
So that's very exciting. Woohoo! We'll do it again soon.
There we go. Hooray. With all that said, let's go ahead and move into topic number 1.
Okay. This is my topic. Whoa. Okay. My topic is to create a Cruiserweight stable. You can use any Cruiserweight through history. You must have 4 or more members, because I think 3 is a tag team because you can use the Freebird rule and use any member of that to compete in a tag match like the New Day does if you're a current wrestling fan. So you need 4 more members. You must have a name for this stable, and you must have a manager who is also a cruiserweight. These are the only criteria you must follow. So any cruiserweight throughout history. So anybody who would like to go first can hop on this big cruiserweight stable baby train.
What's really interesting to me as I was doing this was I've learned something about myself that I think I always knew but never put into words. I hate stables. I hate them. The stories are almost always the same. A bunch of heels try to do everything they can so all of them hold the belts together.
Yep.
Then they all break apart. The only times that I ever liked the stables were the first stable ever, or the first good one, the Four Horsemen, because that one ended up coming with so much prestige, and with Ric Flair and Arn always being in it, it made it feel like this varsity club, another stable. But the only other one that I ever kind of liked was the NWO, and the NWO's whole shtick wasn't even a stable. Their shtick was they're a whole other company. That was their whole point, was that they were a whole nother wrestling company trying to take everything away. And that's just writing. That's just good writing, you know? When you boil it down to it, it's still just a stable. So I have really come to find that I don't care for stables. That didn't stop me from trying to create one I would like, but it's an interesting thing I learned.
I like stables, but they have to be good stables. So I could take as much of the Four Horsemen or my nostalgia for the whole Corporation Ministry of Darkness feud, but less of the Union and JBL's cabinet as possible. You see, when it comes to cruiserweights, I hadn't seen the bit where you said all time until you just mentioned it there. So I was trying to think of people who were alive. But in general, I was thinking, when I think of cruiserweights from like WCW and like heavyweight division, I always think of people who were not pushed to the fulfillment of what they might have been able to. Because for every Eddie Guerrero who broke out, there'd be Blitzkrieg, who appeared for half a year in WCW, was absolutely amazing, and now, no one remembers him whatsoever. So I was trying to think of cruiserweights who I felt were really good and could have done with more of a showcase, but didn't get it, in my opinion. So I've got Taka Michinoku, Esti Rios, La Parka, who counts as
La Parka, baby.
Psychosis, who I thought amazing, but Tajiri, who I've always been a mark for Tajiri ever since the whole storyline in ECW of them bringing him in to win the TV title and then him refusing to give it to the network, so they had to bring in Rhino to stop Tajiri. Great stuff. And given they're all they need somebody who A, speaks English, and B, is a bit of a draw so that the rest can be raised. So despite my dislike of him, I've added Rey Mysterio to the mix. And also it reminds me that Rey Mysterio and Psychosis used to be tag partners, and maybe they could have some nice tag matches together. Now for the manager, can I just double check here? You said it can be anyone living or dead?
Yes.
Right.
As long as it's a cruiserweight.
Okay, well in that case, I'm going to pick a former Cruiserweight champion from WCW, because I really need someone who can talk for these guys. And I wasn't very happy with the choice. I thought I was going to have to stick with Rey Mysterio as the bloody talker of the group, which is showing how much I was struggling. But when you said anyone, Cruiserweight, one of the all-time greats, could talk the hind legs of a horse, the manager of this group is going to be Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
As for their name, as a writer, I'm terrible with names. I always leave them in as stock things until the last minute before somebody wants it. They go, "Oh, quick, look up a name list." So I'm useless with names here, and given this is a stable of underrated people, I've just called it the underrated stable. There you go.
Don't feel bad. The name part is the hardest part for me too. So, well, I like your stable.
You mentioned a lot of guys that love Psychosis was my favorite cruiserweight as a kid.
Oh, he was great, and he got completely kind of overshadowed by Ray.
I only have one holdover, but I did also try to go with just a bunch of guys who are alive. And I put it in the WWE because I have a hard time putting a storyline in a place. Because stables have to have stories, so I have a hard time putting it in a place that can't exist. So I tried to put it in the now, so it's potential that it could happen now. It's never going to, but the stars could align that this could happen. I'll give my name a little bit later. But this is Tajiri, Neville, Spike Dudley, Evan Bourne, Low Key, and Ricochet. Let's assume they're all in the WWE.
Gosh.
So the story here is that around October, November, Vince McMahon has been going on and on about his standard big things, kind of old school, like heel Vince loving on big muscly boys, and these 6 cruiserweights are put in a match against 6 former world champions like Sheamus and Mark Henry and Big Show and just all these big hosses. Just to make an example of them, because they're all baby faces, and they all, over the course of the past month, have gotten a little uppity. All of them asked for a title shot, so Vince is putting them in their place. One by one, the Cruiserweights actually end up winning the match, the Survivor Series match, without a single loss. So all 6 of them stand tall, having gotten pinned 6 former world champions. Hopefully ending on like Cena or Triple H. That'd be the perfect ending, but this is all make-believe nonsense. So all of them are the sole survivors. So the next night on Raw, you hear Michael Cole talking about a miracle has happened at Survivor Series, and Miracle will be the name that will be attached to these 6 guys as a stable, quote unquote. Vince McMahon comes out, and he is pissed. All of his burly big boys have been beaten, and he wants answers right now on who let this happen. Dean Malenko comes out, and he's like, hey, look, I'm the one who put that match together. You asked me to find all the guys. You asked me to do it, and I did what you asked me to. He helped the match run. He picked the 6 guys. So Vince tells him that he's going to have to referee a 6-pack, one fall to a finish match between all 6 of them. Only the winner will stay in the company. The other 5 will be fired. So, main event of Raw, you have this 6 cruiserweight match with Dean Malenko as a ref. And it's just amazing spectacle everywhere. The guys are, all of them are baby faces, and all of them are conflicted about hitting their big moves, because none of them want to get anybody fired, but all of them have to have their job, all of them have to have their dream. You make it clear through backstage interviews that each guy is a baby face. None of them are turning in this situation. All of them are unhappy about this. So it's a great match. It comes down to the final 2. Let's go with Ricochet and Neville as the final 2. And as Ricochet hits the 530, Malenko counts, but he refuses to do the 3rd count. He refuses to let Neville get pinned and fire the other guys. So he just stands up in the middle of the ring, and he gets a mic and he says, I can't do it. I can't get you guys fired. This match is a draw. No one loses. No one is fired. And hopefully, if the match was good enough, you have the crowd, yay! Oh, we get to keep seeing all of our favorite guys. Hooray! The babyfaces they're all coming over and thanking him. Vince McMahon comes out. He just grabs the mic. Malenko, you're fired! And Raw ends with the 6 guys shaking Malenko's hands. They're talking about the Hall of Fame career that Dean Malenko had, so on and so forth. From that point forward, the miracle of the 6 cruiserweights keep getting put in worse and worse scenarios, but keep pulling them out. Eventually, at some pay-per-view, getting Dean Malenko his job back, and you build this whole feud up until WrestleMania. You have at some point Spike Dudley and Tajiri win the tag belts on Raw. You have another group hold the tag belts on SmackDown. You get both mid-card belts, and then at WrestleMania, you have a Benoit and Eddie moment where at the end of this WrestleMania, the Miracle has pulled off the greatest miracle and holds all of the belts in the WWE. These cruiserweights, these guys that Vince McMahon never wanted to give a chance, have done it. They've done everything. You end it with probably Ricochet. He's probably the one that we would go with as our lead character, and he wins the WWE title. And I'd have Vince McMahon not Dean Malenko versus Vince. I'd have Vince referee the WWE title match and begrudgingly have Ricochet pin like Brock Lesnar. You know, something like that, to really enforce that this has happened. And then the next night on Raw, Vince turns face and renounces his old, declares himself, I'm no longer into my big burly boys, competitors of all sizes, or so on, so on, so on. Eventually, Miracle would have to break up. You split them onto different shows or something. But that's the best I could come up with.
You're going to see that I like your idea a lot. Because I follow, we have a bunch of the same people in our stable for starters.
I just found it funny that beforehand Jessel was like, I don't know what to say, and then he's managed to talk for 5 minutes.
I have it all written down. I had to write it all down.
Jessel's fine. He always has the best answers.
Oh, shucks.
Well, I also went with a cruiserweight stable that are going to win all the gold, but I'm a little less creative than Jessel. So mine is a heel stable. It is just a group of cruiserweight heels that come together and decide, look, we can do better than just the cruiserweight title. Let's get all the belts. So I don't have a whole storyline of how it all works out because, like I said, I'm not as creative as Jessel. But it is a group that decide they're going to win all the belts. They have kind of their attire all has a little bit of gold theme to it because they're all chasing after gold.
That's cool. I like that. I always like sharing attire. That's nice.
And I have what role everybody plays in this. So you have the pretty boy. So Billy Kidman is in this. This is a 99 Billy Kidman. So we go back in time to grab pretty boy Billy Kidman and bring him up. Not that he's not pretty now. He just doesn't look like pretty boy Billy Kidman. He looks like pretty uncle Billy Kidman. The muscle, Tony Nese. Got to have Tony Nese in there. The loose cannon, which would be low-key Caval. I guess if it's in WWE, they'd refer to him as Caval. But we know him as low-key. The ring leader, which is a little different than the manager. This is the guy who, during the matches, is sort of telling people what to do and stuff. And I would have that be Neville, because you got to have Neville in there. We need a girl. And it's easy to pick a girl because most of the girls are under the weight. But if they're going to get all the belts, you got to have a girl that's under 205. So I would take Eve Torres, who I love Eve Torres. I'd bring Eve Torres in. She's got a couple of cruiserweighty moves, and she also has some really good other moves. So I'd have Eve Torres as my girl power. I would have the puppet that the people are taking advantage of, who's actually the really talented one that we know is eventually going to turn babyface, and their crowd is trying to get him to come over. And I would have him come in as Prince, he couldn't be Prince Puma because that's Lucha Underground, but it wouldn't be Ricochet either. But I'd want him to be masked, is basically what I'm saying. So something in a mask. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I would want Ricochet to have a mask because masked characters, even though I complained about them earlier in this show, they are easier to care about as baby faces. So I think having a masked character come in as kind of the puppet, the one that everyone realizes, okay, this guy is incredibly talented. We got to make sure he's going to do whatever we want in our stable, but the crowd is totally getting behind him and they want him to turn on him. So I want Ricochet for that role. And then I have Spike Dudley as the manager, because Spike Dudley's run as the Cruiserweight champion when he is
awesome.
When he's getting the Dudley boys to be like his little henchmen is so freaking good. It's the best thing Spike Dudley's ever done, in my opinion. So I got Spike Dudley running the whole thing. And then I couldn't think of a name, so I named the Aces. So that's my name for them. So there's my stable. A lot of the same people.
Those were our Cruiserweight stables. Well, let's keep this train moving with topic number 2.
Right. basically, who is your favourite wrestler turned actor? That is a pro wrestler who has dabbled in film. They don't need to be retired. It can be a one-off film role. So, plenty.
Yeah, since it is favorite, and I don't take myself. I know a lot of people. I know it's extremely popular among everyone in the world to take themselves as potential movie critics. I know talking about movies and talking about how people like actors and stuff is something that people love to do, and rating movies and discussing and critiquing things. This is not something I like to do. It's not something I'm good at. It's not something I think I would ever have good advice on to give. So my pick is John Cena. Since this is just favorite, so out of all of them, I really there are enough
Cena's
things
on my list.
There are enough things that Cena's done that I really enjoyed. I didn't like the Marine. The Marine just all around. It just wasn't enjoyable. But 12 Rounds, I really, really liked 12 Rounds. 12 Rounds
Great
was
movie.
super fun. John Cena was super fun. John Cena's voice acting in the animated films that he's done is really, really good. I think it's usually the best in like the Scooby-Doo and the Surf's Up stuff. And the stuff for Ferdinand looks so good. Like, I watched the trailers for Ferdinand several times before I even realized that was John Cena. If you haven't seen it, it's about a bull, and it's John Cena. It's like this big, emotional, inspirational movie about a fighting bull or whatever you call them. And Cena does a really, really good job in just the couple minutes of the trailers. He's really, really funny in Trainwreck. I don't know if everybody's seen Trainwreck. It's not a great movie, but Cena's really funny. He plays Amy Schumer. How do you say her name? Schwimmer's boyfriend at the beginning, who doesn't know that he is super gay. Him and LeBron James are actually the best part of that whole movie, which is funny because they're both athletes. He's really funny in Daddy's Home, and he's only got a tiny little part, but now he's going to be in the next one.
Daddy's Home too.
But then his best stuff is, I don't know if you've seen the Fred movies. It's this Nickelodeon TV show that then they made TV movies for, and Fred's dad is John Cena, but it's John Cena amped up like 10 times more. So it's just John Cena making fun of himself, and it's super hilarious. And so he's acting as an actor, acting like John Cena, making fun of himself. And it's just really, really fantastic. So as far as favorite goes, Cena is my favorite. But I am not good at critiquing film or acting or anything like that. So
yeah, see, it's funny. I was and still kind of am a film critic, like professionally, for a long while. I actually did that for a living for a bit. I like being a film critic, and I love film. So Lenny hates when I talk about it.
I don't hate when you talk about it. That's not what I said. I'm talking about me. I'm just trying to get through my answer so we can get to yours, because I know yours is going to be way better.
Well, see, that's the problem. It's favorite. For me, I spent a long time being very, very, very clear that there is a huge difference between your subjective opinion and the objective how good something is. I pride myself in my ability to do that. So I have a lot of things that I think are great. There are actors who I think are great. In fact, there is a wrestler who is in one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, The Rock. He's in Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
That movie's amazing.
So good.
No one gave it any credit because it's Michael Bay attached, and it was trailered as a comedy, and it's not. It's a drama. Anyway, great movie. Go watch it. But this is about favorites. And man, I wanted to talk about so many people. I'm not going to cheat and just list off everybody that I wanted to talk about. If I'm talking about favorites, I have to go with Hulk Hogan. He's not great by any means, but he is my favorite. He's Thunderlips in Rocky 3. Suburban Commando is so good and so funny. Santa with Muscles and Mr. Nanny are both terrible movies that are hilarious, and I love watching them. No Holds Barred is legitimately one of my favorite Trainwreck movies. And he's hilarious playing a parody of himself in The Ripper. It's so good. I feel bad because he's not good, But Suburban Commando and Thunder Lips and No Holds Barred all just take it up to that. His Gremlins 2 cameo as himself yelling at the Gremlins to stop screw him with this film. Like, that's hilarious. It's so good. Whenever I see Hogan show up in film, I love it. I'm trying to collect every Hogan movie on film in my collection because of it. And he's not great. I can't objectively consider his stuff great. But this is about just pure love. And my love for Thunder Lips, and my love for Suburban Commando. It makes Hogan be my boy. And I don't think that was expected of me. And I like that it's not expected of me. I have a billion other people I'd gladly talk about, by the way, but I'm not going to do it.
I thought there was a chance you'd pick Hogan because you love your train wreck movies so much. And since it was
Nanar is so wonderful. It's my favorite genre, hands down. Man. But I listed good things. Rocky 3 is great, and No Holds Barred is actually pretty damn good, and Suburban Commando is really great. I was frozen today. It's great.
Yeah, I had Hogan number 3 on my list, so...
Suburban Commando also has The Undertaker. Fun fact.
That is very fun.
I mentioned this topic was coming up to one of our fans and predicted that Larry would probably pick someone modern like Cena, and that Jessel would pick DDP, who's in Ready to Rumble. So damn it, I was 50% right.
I do really like Ready to Rumble.
DDP's been in something else, a couple other things.
I haven't seen The Devil's Rejects, so I haven't seen enough DDP acting to be able to talk about it. Devil's Rejects, I'm a little worried. I'm a little too worried about it. It looks a little too gory for me, too realistically gore for me.
It's messed
I'm fine
up.
With stylized. Fine with stylized gore, but if it's too realistic, I can't handle it.
It's great. And DDP.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say DDP's part in it is not that big, so if you were going to watch it just for DDP, I wouldn't do it.
Well, there's quite a few of these people who don't actually have big roles in their thing. For example, when I finally saw Predator recently, Jesse Ventura is not in it very long.
He is not.
I mean, he was also in an episode of the X-Files, Those Tunes from Outer Space, in which he plays a wonderfully OTT violent man in black. But,
are you going to do the thing that I said I wasn't going to do and just list off a bunch of people before you actually get to your answer?
It's me, of course.
This is his topic. He can do that.
Fine. Well, if you don't list off the ones I wanted to talk about, I'm going to talk about them.
Well, I mean, there's also...
Jesse Ventura is great. Don't forget Running Man. Holy hell, he's great in Running Man.
There's also like George Steele and Ed Wood and Andre the Giant and Princess Bride, which were ones I kind of the nod about. But I have to be myself here, and the one that's my favourite, because this was a cult film that me and Dad used to watch. Although he won't admit it now because he's quite embarrassed by how bad he thinks it is, and it's Roddy Piper and They Live.
I knew it. I knew it.
It's based on a short story by Ray Nelson, who's still about. He's in his 80s, called 8 O'Clock in the Morning, about a guy who gets a subliminal phone message that he's going to die the next day, and then he takes down alien invaders, only, well, yeah, it's got a downbeat ending. Joe Carpenter stretched that plot from 5 pages to 2 hours. Roddy Piper's great in it as a sort of low-key everyman, although you can tell he's acting because he falls for some really obvious villain double crosses that Rowdy was far too genre savvy to have missed coming in WWE. It's also got the famous line, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all a bubblegum. And I think Piper's great in it. And in respect for him, I have never watched Hell Comes to Frogtown, which he considers the worst film ever made, because in Roddy Piper's own words, it's about the last fertile man in the world, and it's not me. But yeah.
I really like Hell Comes to Frogtown. I got that over there in my collection right now. I think it's really fun. But again, I like really bad movies. As long as they're entertaining to watch, they can be as terrible as you want. The Room, excellent.
But I guess only I would pick Roddy Piper and They Live over The Princess Bride, but it's my...
Nah, Roddy Piper was on my list as well, and Princess Bride is not on my list.
The only other thing I could note here is that Box Baker actually got a mainstream obit in the Telegraph here solely for his role in Escape from New York.
Yeah, that's
Listen for
nice.
you.
That's cool.
But yeah, that
The only other two I had on my list that I wanted to talk about were Batista he's been crossing over like insanity and doing awesome. Drax is my favorite character in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He brings so much to the role. He's great. He's great in it. So he was definitely on my list. Plus, The Man with the Iron Fists is a underrated cheesy flick that has Batista in it as Brass Body. It's a good flick. And then I had Jerry Lawler, because he plays himself in Man on the Moon, but Man on the Moon is so good.
I completely
It
forgot
is
about
so good. Jerry Lawler, he broke kayfabe about the Andy Kaufman stuff for the first time ever in that movie. Like, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of cool. But you covered everybody else that was on my list.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Man on the Moon, and it's such a great film, that.
It is devastatingly unfortunate that it did not win the Oscars it deserved.
Yeah.
But I think The Rock deserved a supporting actor nod in Pain and Gain. Pain and Gain is so good. Have you seen Pain and Gain?
No, the only Rock film I've seen is Game Plan.
The Rock has made better movies than that.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if nothing else, Pain and Gain is worth your time. It is legitimately in my top 5, not only just best but favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. It's awesome.
I'll give it a look.
With all our movieing done, let's keep trucking along and get to topic number trace.
3.
It's 3 in Spanish. So this one's mine. We don't normally get allowed to end on negativity and criticalness, so I'm very happy that we get to do it this week. If you could get rid of any 3 wrestling tropes, professional wrestling tropes, things that happen all the time, what would they be? And I want to do one by one for each of us, since we were break the fourth wall a little bit. We were rushing a little bit to get this one recorded so that Lenny would have enough time, because he's got a birthday girl that he has to go birthday at. But we got an hour because we've been busting through and on topic, so that's good. So we can take a little bit of time.
Oh yeah,
that's nice.
You're doing great.
I was very worried that we were going to have to make Lenny go first so that he could duck out, and Michael and I would just pretend that Lenny was here. Like, oh, good job, Lenny.
You definitely wouldn't be saying "good job, Lenny" and "nice." So.
Hey, I say nice things about you all the time.
I meant for this episode.
So what came about this topic came about because I've been complaining about certain things to my wife while we watch wrestling for years, and she finally. Well, there's certain little things that irritate me because I've been watching. You know, when you watch wrestling for so long, you start to see the seams. You start to see where the fiction breaks. You can start to see little things that come up too often. And she suggested that it'd be a good topic. My original thought process was making it be like, try to keep the kayfabe of it. Be like, what 3 things would you have wrestlers be fined for doing? But I wanted to make it a little more open so we could talk about writing tropes and production tropes and stuff too. So I want to go last each time.
Okay.
Because I'm an asshole and I want to complain. So whoever of you'd like to go first, what's one of your 3 wrestling tropes you want gone forever?
I'll go first. Now, this one is not something that the writing team can control anymore, or that the commentary or the wrestlers can control. But if there is some way that we can take the "what" chant and just find a way, I don't. Even if they went, and I'd be okay with this, I don't care about freedom of speech that much when it doesn't benefit me. So if they literally take people out of the seats and they kick them out for doing the "what" chant, just for a couple of weeks, because I think after a couple of weeks people would learn, until you do the night after WrestleMania, then they'll be like, oh yeah, we're awesome enough, we don't care if we get kicked out because they suck. But just if there was some way to get rid of the what chant that just ruins so many segments, because at this point all the good, not even good, the decent heels know how to stop the what chant. They know how to deal with it. There's so many ways around it now. There's so many responses to it that quiet it and slow it down. It just has no purpose whatsoever. If you don't know what the what chant is, Stone Cold Steve Austin started doing it back in, I guess, 2002, I think, maybe 2003, in response to people just saying things. Just if he was doing a promo with somebody that he didn't like, he would say "what" in between everything they'd say, and then the crowd picked it up, and they've been doing it ever since. If you have ever watched a wrestling show with a promo in it, not just matches, so if you've just watched pay-per-views, you may have missed it, but if you've watched a Raw or a SmackDown, you have heard the crowd do the "what" chant, and it is just lazy, and it is just terrible, and it is the worst thing about being at a live show, and it is the worst thing about the crowd in general. And I don't know a way to change it. Like the other things I picked on my list are things that can be easily changed. This one, there's not really a way to fix that. So
how do you feel about the what chant sucks, but the crowd chant that gets me more riled up is the CM Punk chants. What do you think about that?
The CM Punk chant doesn't bother me as much for several reasons, mostly because it has died down a lot. Like the last time they were in Chicago, I don't even remember it being there, for starters. We really only see it now when it is Stephanie McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon is such a boring character that I'm so sick of seeing on TV that the fact that they're doing it just to try and piss off Stephanie, that doesn't bother me so much. I kind of get that one. The what chant has no purpose. They're not doing it to respect Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, they're doing it just because they want to be heard on TV and they can think of no other chant whatsoever to do. So they do the what chant. At this point, the CM Punk chant is just to piss off the Helmsley McMahon characters, it seems. And
the CM Punk chants it happens more than that. I mean, it was on SmackDown 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, it's just this little tiny thing that shows up all the time. It's just so disrespectful. Anyway, I know I'm with you. The what chant's terrible.
The CM Punk a lot, and the CM Punk chant, it was birthed from a place of people feeling like CM Punk was unfairly treated, and they wanted CM Punk to come back, and they wanted CM Punk to feel loved. So at least it came from a place of love. Now, I don't agree with it, but the what chant came from nothing positive. It has nothing positive tied to it. The what chant is the worst chant in all of wrestling, and I would get rid of it by killing freedom of speech. So there's my first one.
My first one is music or production cues used as interruptions for disqualifications. I cannot freaking stand someone playing their entrance music and then that forces a guy in the ring to lose. Or Bray Wyatt nonsense and then someone loses. It's lazy, it's bad, and on top of it, when Undertaker did it, it was because he was magic. Now, people do it because they bribe the production truck. So you're telling me that Kevin Dunn allows the production truck to get bribed by these wrestlers to do this stupid nonsense? And not only to do it at least once a week? It's nonsense. I can't stand it. It doesn't make any sense. It breaks kayfabe. It is just so stupid. The Jericho's music interrupting Kevin Owens, so Kevin Owens loses to Goldberg, is asinine. The Seth Rollins losing his match with Samoa Joe, like you said, because of
Scrack.
Terrible. It's so stupid, and I hate it. I hate it so much. It makes me roll my eyes every time it happens. I cannot stand it. The especially the entrance music. It's just so unprofessional. It just makes WWE look like they're a bunch of idiots. Why would you play the entrance music for somebody who walks out for 5 seconds and then leaves? That doesn't make any sense. I can't stand it. That's the one I can't stand. The third least.
Oh gosh.
They're gonna get. I'm doing them in order of how much they irritate me.
Yeah, that one is pretty bad. It doesn't bother me that much, obviously, as much as you. But most things that bother people in wrestling don't bother them as much as they bother you. But you're a very passionate
When it comes
person.
down to it, it's not bad. It's bad that it happens weekly or multiple times in one episode or pay-per-view. Like, that's where it really gets my goat. All of mine are things, if done done once a year, once or twice a year, that could be fine. That could be great. That's storytelling. But doing it weekly is nonsense.
No, that's fair. And then that's how the what chant would fall too. So I totally get that.
All right, Michael.
Well, if you're doing them in order of annoyance, then so should I. So I'll just go for the one that's just annoying, which is the villainous owner trope.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
20 years ago, when I got into wrestling, it felt new to me because I knew nothing better. After nearly 20 years, it's getting a bit overkill, especially when they keep going to the exact same storyline over and over again. I admit that they seem to be trying to break away from it now with two faces running the two main shows, but
yeah, totally.
We could really do without it for a good few years to forever at this point.
Great pick. This is on my list. It just doesn't make me mad, so I didn't talk about it. But no, that is a great choice.
Well,
I completely agree. It's so refreshing having Shane McMahon be a babyface on SmackDown.
I shortlisted the music interruption thing too, but it didn't make my top 3.
I understand. Let's snake back around. So, Michael, what's your second one?
Okay, this one might be slightly controversial because it's reliant on a point of view that I have towards wrestling, which might not be relevant to you two, given that I'm not American.
Interesting.
And it's the overuse of the all-American face and jingoism in wrestling. It's done all the time. You can see it through Hogan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Scott Steiner 2003. They always come up with this sort of, very patriotic face, but it's always an American face. And while it's a Cold War hangover, and I understand why it's a trope within wrestling, I find it highly alienating to a non-American audience like myself, especially when they go right hard on in something which they probably shouldn't. Like, for example, when Scott Steiner's whole, the pro-Iraq war thing back in the day. Now the company is trying to be a worldwide sort of thing with territories. The whole USA thing feels really counterproductive, and it's a turn-off. It specifically always reminds me of that wonderfully stupid Hacksaw Jim Duggan line when he interrupted Nikolai Volkov singing his national anthem to go, "You're not allowed to sing that song anymore, Nikolai, because this is the land of the free."
No, I'm definitely with you. It makes me think of what match was it? Chris Jericho versus, I think it was Jericho versus Edge, where a USA chant happened, and both guys are Canadian.
There's a match where was it Bret Hart's taking on Dino Bravo, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan gets a USA chant going, and I was thinking, who are the crowd chanting for here? The referee?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you here. For whatever reason, it's the opposite side of the coin that bothers me more. I don't mind the patriotic babyface. I can't stand the villainous non-American.
Oh,
just being non-American, being a heel, like that sucks. I hate that.
I hate that.
But
I hate that too. But it's very much the two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, totally. No, I totally get you. It's so outdated nowadays. It really is. It's world wrestling entertainment. It's global. I totally get it. I'm with you.
I have an opinion on this, but it should be saved for when we get to my next pick.
Ooh, well, let me do my second one. Which of these is gonna make me maddest? Probably okay. My second one is signature spots using the ropes. Wrestlers doing signature spots in every match that use the ropes. The Drape DDT by Randy Orton. The Tarantula. The Emma version of the Tarantula. The Austin Aries' neck breaker on the second rope. The 619. I cannot stand these contrived signature moves in the ropes. Not only because they happen all the time, not only because it requires you to be an idiot for you to set them up, or for moves to work a way they never work. Like to set up the 619, you'll take drop kicks the same way every time. You'll get hit and you'll drop, except when he's setting up for the 619. Then you'll go flying across the ring to land on the ring rope so he can 619 you. I hate it. I cannot stand it. On top of all that, I can't stand it because the rules are if they're in the ropes, you can't do moves to them.
Well,
the referees stop you.
You've got 5 seconds to not be in the ropes anymore.
The refs don't even count when they're doing the signature moves. The refs don't count. When a signature move is happening in the ropes, the refs just stand there and wait for them to do the signature move. I can't stand it. And again, it's one of those things where if it happened once every now and again, then it wouldn't be a problem. But every Randy Orton match has the Drape DDT. Of course, every Rey Mysterio match had at least one 619. Austin Aries constantly does his neck breaker. Everyone's trying to do their version of the Tarantula. Look, the Tarantula worked when Tajiri did it because he was a crazy Japanese nut job that was going to just ruin the rules of the match to hurt you. Now other people do it and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't match their character. This thing, every time I see it, it takes me out of the match because the referees don't even do their job. They don't even stop it. They don't even try to stop it. Sometimes to set up like the double version, like if Randy's going to do a double DDT, one guy will get there to do the double, and then you have to wait 5 seconds for the other guy to climb up on the apron for Randy kick him in the nuts and then pull him over. And then he stands around and looks around for a minute and then drops him. It takes like 20 seconds to do this one fucking move. You have a count of 5, which means you got to be done by 4. I can't stand it.
Well, I definitely don't agree on this one. I'll start off with the things you said that I do agree on. The fact that the Rey Mysterio, the way the 619 gets set up is trash, and it has always been trash. It would have, and I would not have a problem with this move if they would have found a different way to set it up. But as far as that one goes, and the 5 seconds in the ropes, you have 5 seconds to break if you are touching someone and they're in the ropes. The 619 doesn't make sense if someone's leaning up against the ropes, you don't make contact with them until Rey Mysterio runs and does a swing and kicks him. The referee wouldn't start the 5 count until the contact comes with Rey Mysterio's legs. So there's really no counting there to be had until Rey Mysterio does the kick. But the setup for that move does not work. In my memory, I feel like I often see the ref count when Randy Orton, besides when he's doing the double one, because the referee, for whatever reason, the crowd gets all bonered up when Randy Orton does the double ring rope DDT. But in my memory, I remember Randy Orton usually getting counted when he's getting someone set up, because 5 seconds is plenty of time for him to grab them, pull them, and drop them. And same with the Tarantula. I feel like usually it gets locked in, and then by the 4 seconds, when I'm thinking back on these, I don't remember the ref not counting like you seem to remember. And I know we've had debates about the
ref not counting is a very recent addition change, like in NXT. That happens a lot, and normally not for the submission ones. It's normally for the setup moves. But the ref counts because it's based on boxing, so you're not even supposed to be allowed to make contact with them if they're in the ropes. If you can make contact with them in the ropes, then when the heel does the thing where they're half out of the ring, the ref shouldn't stop you from going over there. It's inconsistent.
Okay. So I can definitely understand because
I don't want to be wrong. I think the Tarantula was great. Like I said, it worked for Tajiri. Just everybody else is doing it. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, no, you were very right, and I should be more tempered. It just makes me so mad.
I know we don't agree on the Randy Orton DDT, as we've had an argument about the setup of that move. Not
did.
last pay-per-view, but the pay-per-view before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Jinder Mahal. But yeah, this thing doesn't bother me whatsoever.
Oh, a little bit off topic, but man, Jinder Mahal's entrance this week on SmackDown, it gave me chills. Jinder Mahal is looking and feeling like a champ.
And that's not off
I
topic,
think that's
because I'm
awesome.
about to discuss that. So good.
Oh, cool.
Good job.
Yeah. Michael, am I wrong? Should I not be as upset about signature spots in the ropes?
As with everything, the less something's done, the more it means.
Okay. No, that's absolutely.
And as far as your complaint is that the part about, I mean, when you're saying that the referee is not counting, every time you say that and that happens, you're absolutely right. That is trash. If the referee's going to count, you have 5 seconds. That should be counted every time. So with that being your complaint, I just don't think that happens enough, since your complaint is that it happens all the time. I don't see it, and I watched the same amount, maybe a little bit less, because I think you watch NXT a little bit more than I do. I think we watch wrestling quite the same amount, and I don't see this happening quite as often.
Well, hopefully I don't poison you and you start noticing it and getting irritated, because that's not actually the goal here. The goal is to have some catharsis. So what's your second one there, Lenny?
Well, I didn't know, since I started, I didn't know we were going in order for most annoying. So the what chant would have been my second most annoying. This one would have been my third most annoying. So just so we make that clear. And this goes along with a little bit of what Michael was saying and a little bit of what you were saying earlier. And this is wrestlers whose home country is their gimmick. This just encompasses all that. So this is and it's not. And back in the old days when I was a kid watching wrestling, it didn't bother me with the Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheiks and the guys like that, because that's what it was back then. They were capitalizing on that, so that didn't bother me. But now that we have gone so far into the future, and there's been so many wrestlers that have still used that gimmick, and it's just still such a focal point in wrestling as like I was talking about earlier, the three main things for me are story, moveset, and gimmick. Gimmick is my number one out of all three. I mean, you can not have a guy be in a story, and if he comes out and does his gimmick every week, I'm going to be entertained, because I'm just a silly boy like that. Like, I love Elias Sampson. He can sit there and play his little guitar every week for 5 minutes, and I'm going to be happy. That's just me. But if he came out there and he played, I don't know what's an instrument that only Africa has, and now I'm gonna sound like a racist if I pick Africa. Okay, if he comes out and he plays a guitar and he sings songs about America, immediately I don't like him anymore, because now his gimmick is that he is American. The only exception of that is when we are doing a country and they're introducing aspects to this country that I do not know. And that's where I'm going to bring in the Jinder Mahal entrance yesterday. That did some really neat things that showed off his country and stuff. And because his gimmick at this point is that he is the modern day Maharaj from India. But he's doing some things with it that are teaching me some things. And I find that interesting. The problem is that's going to run its course, and then he's going to keep, because he's just going to do the same thing, and then I'm going to get worried. But his entrance yesterday was really, really cool, with the carpet and the ring and the way the floor lit up and all that kind of stuff. It's all really cool.
Man, I got chills. It was so cool.
But yeah, a wrestler whose their entire gimmick is just what country they're from, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them in all the companies. That is something I cannot stand. It is so lazy. There are so many cool gimmicks you can have. It is so boring. It happens way too often. So that is my number 3, just so we all understand. Yeah. The what chain is my number 2.
Because the best version of that gimmick is respecting where you're from, but that not being the gimmick. Like Killian Dane, who is now, what's his name? No, big. Oh, right. He was Big Damo.
I was gonna say.
Now he's Killian Dane.
But he was.
He was the Beast of Belfast. It's not just that he's not just he's from Belfast. It's the gimmick is he's the Beast of Belfast, and I that's a good version of the same kind of thing. It's
and I think
paying homage, but not making it be a big deal.
And I think Sheamus falls into that of doing it well too, because they call him the Celtic Warrior, but now he's dressing in this leather jacket with these. He's matching his tag team partner, and he's doing stuff that his gimmick is now his tag team with Cesaro. His gimmick is not he's Celtic.
Yeah, he's not the Celtic Warrior. He's the Celtic Warrior. Yeah. The emphasis is on the. Yeah, no, totally. Like Finn Balor is. They don't even touch on it. Becky Lynch, they don't touch on it any longer. So they're doing it. Even the British guys, like the UK guys. Most of them, that's not their gimmick. But most of them don't have a gimmick, mind you. But most of them, their gimmick isn't that they're British.
Yeah.
And I like that. So hopefully that will continue to push things. Because Rusev was the last bad one.
Rusev was the last bad one.
And hopefully it will be the last bad one.
And Jinder Mahal has the potential to be a bad one. So I'm really hoping that he doesn't fall under that, because that will make me really sad. Because they'll give him the what chant too, and they're going to combine it, and they're going to combine my two pet peeves.
And then they'll do the USA chant.
Oh, God.
And then he'll develop a signature spot in the ropes.
Okay, now I'm starting to like it again. Okay.
Team up with Bray Wyatt.
Oh, that would be the worst.
All right, I would definitely want to save mine for last, so whoever would like to go next, that's fine.
Oh, well, if we're snaking, I can finish off my list.
Go ahead, bud.
My number one thing is when a wrestler looks at the referee while he is being pinned. And this should be taught in every single wrestling school in the entire world not to do this, because it ruins everything. It ruins every single moment of every pinfall in every single match. And it is being done by all the wrestlers, all the greats. You can go back and watch all your little tapes of all your little favorites, and they're all going to do it when they're getting pinned. They're all going to look up. Some of them even bend their head back and tilt their neck to make sure they can, because apparently they have to make eye contact with the referee to know, when's a 2 count, so I can kick out. Now, there are some exceptions. AJ Styles is really good about it. Dolph Ziggler is really good about it. I always forget if it's Sasha or Becky, but one of those two is really good about it. But looking at the referee to know when it is time to kick out of the pin is the worst thing that a wrestler can do in any match. It absolutely ruins the magic. It ruins, if you're someone like me who doesn't like to know who's going to win a match. I'm weird like that. It ruins that. And I just don't understand why it's not being taught not to do that. Because
part of it's because there's WWE has been pushing more and more to get to the 2 count, to go for the 2.5. Because people used to kick out at like the 1, but that's so rare nowadays for people to kick out at 1, so they all have to constantly look. That's certainly part of it.
But if you can practice everything else, go lay there on a mat with your eyes closed and have a little sound and something hit next to your head and just practice it over and over and over till you get it. Because man, it ruins things for me. It makes
No, I agree with you.
I've reached the point to where when I see a pinfall in a match, I literally have to lower my eyes to the wrestler's feet just so I don't get it spoiled for me whether or not they're going to kick out. And if you haven't noticed this before, you're now going to notice it, and it's going to ruin a lot of wrestling for you, unfortunately.
It is.
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. That's what we're here to do tonight, is to ruin things for you when you watch wrestling.
Yeah, it's one of those glass shattering moments where as soon as you're told about it, you're like, oh, then you start seeing it's like, oh, damn it.
But it will
damn it, broken table commentary. You've ruined so many things.
It will give you appreciation for the guys who can kick out without and it'll be things like they'll have the tombstone pile driver dropped on them where you're supposed to be completely knocked out, and then nope, my eyes are wide open, I'm fine. Oh, I kicked out, I'm cool. Oh, it makes me so mad. It is so terrible, and it is something that I feel like you can easily learn to do better and just stop doing it. That's what bothers me so much about it, is it can't be that difficult to just learn it and just be better at it. So there's my number one.
I've been watching wrestling for 18 years and I've never noticed this.
Well, welcome.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, Michael. Because Lenny and I have talked about it for years now. Because I don't remember who brought it to whose attention, but we both kind of started thinking about it at the same time, and now it's unavoidable.
But then if you watch, you can see wrestlers talk their spots through all the matches, and I've just learned to just not look for it.
Yeah, that's bad too, but I'm really bad at reading lips. So, and I'm usually when I'm watching wrestling, like the big stuff, I'm watching it with other people, so I can't hear it. So since I'm really bad at reading lips, I can't really tell what they're calling in the matches. Like everyone always says, "Oh, John Cena is so bad about calling his matches." I see that he's moving his mouth like in the whole match, but I can't tell what he's saying at all. So it's okay. I just assume he's singing a song or something. He's singing his theme song throughout the whole match.
Yeah, no, seeing them call the match doesn't do anything for me. I was watching with one of my friends' sons 2 pay-per-views ago. It was the first time I ever watched anything. And this was one of the first things he asked me. He was like, "How can you watch? You can see them doing it." I was like, "Well, yeah, but it's like live acting, you know? It doesn't make it bad that you can see them acting. You know they're acting. So that is one that I can ignore." Seeing them call the match to each other, it actually makes it more magical to me. Whenever you see them calling the matches during the match, like the Miz Dean, you could see Miz do that constantly. Every time he had Dean, he'd have his head stuck behind, and they'd call the match as it went. That was a good match because of that, and I kind of like seeing the magic of that. But the pinfalls, absolutely, I'm completely with you.
That's you, Michael. You gotta go next.
Yeah, because I want to get real mad, so I want to go last.
Well, here's the one that annoys me the most. Aborted fucking arcs. How many storylines die as soon as someone in creative gets flipping bored? Ziggler Del Rio, Rikishi's involvement in the Austin hit and run story, Raven's 2001 push, the I Still Remember thing with Booker T, the Raw general manager thing, and the Hornswoggle thing to sort that out that was a botch up years later. Cade Vanson's entire push, the bigger plan for the Nexus, etc., etc., etc. Every bloody time they come up with an idea or a storyline in wrestling, 9 out of 10 times, they will give up on it before it comes to a natural finish. If you're going to tell a story, you have to give me the damn finish.
I completely agree with you.
That's my biggest annoyance in wrestling by a fucking country mile.
Absolutely. The only reason this doesn't make my list at all is because sometimes things are aborted for good reasons, like the story isn't working or someone gets injured. Sometimes they're aborted for really shitty backstage reasons, like the Nexus push. So it's just kind of one of those things that I've had to throw my hands up in the air about. But I'm with you. It sucks. Telling a story and not finishing that story is frustrating as all hell.
Yeah, I think I'm with. I get it, and even if it is a frustrating or boring story, that I would rather see it come to an end, like an actual end. But this doesn't make the list for me because I always have to remind myself that the WWE is the only scripted TV show that is a constant forever. Like, I mean, it started however long ago, and it has new episodes every single week, longest running TV show of all time. Then you factor in all the contracts, and you factor in all the backstage stuff, because there's backstage stuff that we have no idea what's going on. And it must be, and there's stuff that we have no idea. There's reasons we have no idea why things get stopped in the way they do. There's just so many moving pieces that we'll never, ever understand for the longest running storyline show of all time, that I know if I worry about it too much and I get too upset about it, I will literally drive myself insane trying to figure out why things happen the way they are. But I would definitely rather see storylines, either bad or good storylines, come to an actual end, rather than just be abandoned.
As a little sub part to that, I would also throw into that actually having stories end, having an end be there, not just continue forever. Because sometimes there's stories that are aborted, but there's sometimes that a feud just will not die. they'll just let this feud go on for half a year, a full year. They just keep especially like in the undercard. That sucks. That's so bad. Just it's all part of that 50-50 booking nonsense, which we could have all talked about and none of us pulled up because this is a little more personal. All of us hate 50-50 booking. Just no, I'm with you, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, continuing the story on beyond its natural conclusion is another bad one, but I'm pretty sure if I listed them all out, you'd have the ones where they didn't even get it to the natural conclusion would outweigh the ones that they overstretched.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my number one pet peeve, my number one wrestling trope I can't stand. I'm 100% aware I'm probably the only one who hates this. But I hate it. I hate it with a blinding, furious passion. And some of my favorite wrestlers do it. And so that's even more frustrating. I cannot stand it. And I want every wrestler to stop removing your pad to do extra damage on your offense. Stop it. It is so stupid. If that's the case, don't ever wear the pad. If that's your goal to do this high octane move without the pad, don't take it off so you can do your phenomenal 5-arm, so you can make your GTS hurt extra hard this time, so that your 8th version of the tiebreaker can finally actually hurt someone. Stop doing it. The only time removing a pad has ever been any good was in the Tommaso Ciampa Johnny Gargano Cruiserweight Classic match. And you know why it was good? Because they used it as a story point and not a thing they walk through the motions every match. Ciampa pulls off the pad because he hasn't been able to beat Johnny. He pulls his knee pad down to give him the running knee, just destroy Johnny's face, and then you see him go through all this emotion because he doesn't want to actively hurt Johnny Gargano that much, and then he pulls the pad back up, and the crowd reacts because they know what those emotions are. They get it. That's storytelling. But Ty Dillinger just taking off his knee pad every match just so that he can hit this move drives me insane. Hideo Itami, who I love, taking the knee pad off for your GTS, I can't stand it. And I know it's not a big deal. I know it doesn't matter. And I know in some instances it will totally work and make sense. But so many people do it now. I named 4, and those are just the 4 off the top of my head. I know there are so many more guys who rip off an elbow pad or a knee pad just so they can do extra damage on their move. I can't stand. You don't see somebody wear a helmet so that they can take it off so their headbutt hurts more. That's nonsense. On top of that, science doesn't even work that way. You know why boxers hit so hard? Because they're wearing the gloves. They hit hard because they have the gloves. Their hand doesn't get hurt when they punch you so they can put more force behind it. There is more force behind a move with a pad. That's just how science works. Oh my God. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. And again, just like with all 3 of my complaints, if you only did this at WrestleMania, if one guy did it at WrestleMania, that's a story. That's fine. But doing it every fucking match as part of your finisher combination, I hate it. Like, The Rock did it with the People's Elbow to get heat. He did it so that people would boo him because it's so stupid. That was part of the whole thing. It's so stupid to do that. I need. Oh my God! I need to cool down.
I was wondering if this was going to make your list because you've talked about this one with me several times.
You know who to blame for this though? Lex Luger, because the whole storyline with him was that he had to have the pad because of the metal plate in his elbow, and then he'd remove the pad to knock out folk. So that's where the whole trope starts. Of course, no one else has
And
a
in
bloody...
Luger, it made sense because he has a metal. It's not just his bones.
Yeah.
It's a metal plate in
Now,
his
are
arm. But now
The trope has lost its original meaning.
Are you sure all these wrestlers don't have metal plates inside of them?
if they did, it's commentary's job to tell us.
Have you checked their Wikipedia page?
Yeah, actually. Like, not all of them, but I checked some. You know, son, you know another person I just thought of that did it well? Wade Barrett with the bullhammer did it well. Because he didn't ever take off the thing. He flipped it to red as a signifier. Like, that works. That's good. That tells the audience he was a heel at the time, and the crowd wanted him to be babyface. And WWE's stupid for never turning him babyface. But the bullhammer totally worked. Because that signifier, that turned to red, it didn't take the pad off, but it's still essentially the same kind of thing. It's a signifier to the audience that I'm about to hit my finisher. But signifying to the audience you're about to hit a finisher is a stupid WWE thing to do anyway.
They're removing their safety
gracious.
pad, so they're making the move more damaging to themselves.
Yeah. Just nonsense. I had a whole list of guys written down that did it, but I decided to remove the list. I didn't want to read it off. I wanted my pure emotion to push its way out. And if I could remember it, cuz essentially, if I'm angry but can only name one person that did the thing, then I'm being stupid.
No, I agree.
You know? But if I rattled off 7 names, I think 4 major ones, but oh man. A thing I learned, by the way, by going over these tropes, Austin Aries has done all 3 of these things since he joined the Cruiserweight. He is interrupted with his music. He does a garbage signature spot in the ropes, and he removes his elbow pad for the phenomenal 5.
But you love Austin Aries.
I don't.
You like Austin Aries.
I don't. I used to like him. I liked him as a heel commentator. I wanted to like him, but I'm tired of him wrestling Neville, and thank God that's finally over with. He had one great match, and that should have been the end of it. They had the great WrestleMania match, but then they kept doing it. I think Austin has become Bray for me, like you were talking about with Bray. I think I'm just done with Austin. I don't want to see him anymore. I don't want to watch him. I don't want to see his matches. And he has some moves I really like. His elbow to the back of their neck off the top rope, that's great.
And his disorientating clap, you still like.
Oh, yeah, the big clap.
I like that one.
I do really like it. It's so old school. I really like it. Maybe he turned heel on 205 Live, which would be a terrible idea. They have so many heels. But, you know, what are you going to do?
Who was it a few months ago on Raw? Because I remember we talked about it at the time, where the person they were feuding with, their music hit, and they completely ignored the music to continue on with the match.
Oh, I don't remember, but I do remember that happening.
Yeah, because everything. Why doesn't this happen all the bloody time?
Yeah, why does the music matter? Why does it make you stop and stare? If the music plays, you know what's happening. Just have your fucking.
Wyatt's
the guy gets in the ring, it's a DQ.
Wyatt's is different because it turns off all the lights. But yes, for everybody else, it is nonsense.
Yeah.
Though I think we're still supposed to believe Bray Wyatt has magic, or
Yeah, canonically,
Bray
Bray
still
Wyatt
has
has
magic.
siphoned off some of Undertaker's.
So Bray still has magic, so he is excused. But yes, that one is still a good one. And Bray is trash, just so we know. He's not excused from being trash. Bray is still trash.
That's right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Let us know if you have any pet peeves or tropes that you want to share with us. If you leave any good ones in the comments or something, I'll read them off at the beginning of the next episode because I think that'd be fun. Get a little bit more fan interaction going on. But other than that, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.